15 in the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I looked at off the wire this week. The first guy, Kerry Carpenter of the Detroit Tigers. So Carpenter coming out of the All-Star break. He's been on fire, and this season he's showing a lot of pop. 11 home runs on the year in only 164 at-bats. So on the year, 11 home runs, 27 RBIs, 21 runs scored, 269 average, and a 322 on base. And over the last 2 weeks here, he's been on fire. 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 5 runs scored, a 320 average, and a 370 on base. So right now, Kerry Carpenter getting an everyday opportunity as the weeks go on here for this Detroit Tiger team. Batting cleanup as well in this lineup. And this Tiger team, we know they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to play the young guys. And right now, Carpenter, he's starting to mash and getting that chance here with this Tiger team to play every day. So right now, available 94% of fantasy leagues and one of the hottest hitters coming out of the All-Star break. I definitely would give him an ad this week. July 8th versus the Jays, 1 for 4 rib. July 9th versus the Jays, 0 for 3. July 14th at Seattle, 1 for 3, a homer, 2 ribs. July 15th at the Mariners, 2 for 4, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. And July 16th at the Mariners in that one, 2 for 4. So right now, while he's on a power surge and he's hitting the baseball great, and like I said, in a big cleanup spot for this Detroit Tiger team. Kerry Carpenter is definitely a hitter I looked at this week, and his exit velos have been really nice. A lot of 95 to 100 mile per hour balls off the bat, so he's hitting line drives, he's hitting home runs, and right now he's definitely a player that's going to get a lot of chances for the remainder of the season here with this Tiger team. Like I said, going with the young guys and seeing what they got, so I would give him an ad this week. Next hit is Jake Burger, the Chicago White Sox. So Jake Burger, he's not going to bring batting average to your fantasy team. He's going to strike out a whole lot, but if you're looking for power, he's going to bring that for sure. And on the season, 21 home runs, 44 RBIs, 37 runs scored, a stolen base, a 222 average, and a 278 on base. So Jake Burger, like I said, strictly if you're looking for power at the third base or even a utility spot, he's going to bring that for fantasy owners, and right now available in 80% of fantasy leagues. So the last few games here for Burger: July 7th versus the Cardinals, 2 for 2, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. July 8th versus the Cardinals, 0 for 4. July 9th versus the Cardinals, 1 for 4. July 14th at the Braves, 0 for 3. July 15th at the Braves, 2 for 4, a homer in that one. And July 16th at the Braves, 1 for 4, a homer, 2 RBIs. It's a possibility Burger could get traded at the Major League trade deadline, but we'll see if that happens, obviously. His contract's not that expensive, and the White Sox honestly should keep him because at least he's showing power and could drive in runs here for this White Sox team. So if you're looking for pop in your lineup and a streaky power hitter like most of them are, Jake Burger, right now, while he's on a hot streak coming out of the All-Star break already with 2 home runs in the time here in the first 3 games back. He's definitely a hitter I would add, and he's available in 80% of leagues. Next hit is CJ Abrams of the Washington Nationals. So last season he was the big trade chip, or one of them at least, in that trade for Juan Soto. And right now he's been playing the whole season here, is Abrams, and he's available right now 57% of fantasy leagues. So on the season, 8 home runs, 36 RBIs, 42 runs scored, 16 stolen bases, a 251 average, and a 297 on base. He's going to bring you stolen bases. He's going to bring you some sneaky pop. He could finish the year with 15, 17 home runs, I believe, this season he has, Abrams. And he's getting the everyday opportunity as well, obviously, here for a national team that's one of the worst teams in the league. And definitely the National League, they are the worst team. So the last couple weeks here for Abrams, 1 home run, 2 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, 9 runs scored, a 371 average, and a 421 on base. So right now, obviously, he's the catalyst and the table setter leading off here for this Washington National team. And he's had a lot of multiple hit games over the last week here as well. July 7th versus Texas, 1 for 3. July 8th versus the Rangers, 2 for 4 run. July 9th versus the Rangers, 3 for 5. July 14th at the Cardinals, 0 for 1. July 15th at the Cardinals, 2 for 4, 2 runs, a homer, and a rib. And July 16th at the Cardinals, 2 for 4 with 2 runs. So right now, playing every day, qualifies at 2 weak positions, obviously, at second and shortstop here is Abrams. And I would give him an ad this week. He's going to play Nationals. They've been out of it pretty much from the get-go, out of the standings. And this is what you want to see this time of year, where you can find some young guys emerging, especially in keeper and dynasty leagues. If you have a young guy emerge and you didn't have to pay much to get him on your roster or even just keep him in later rounds, that's another plus as well for fantasy owners. So right now, while Abrams is playing great baseball, I give him an ad this week. The next hitter, Joey Meneses of the Washington Nationals as well. So on the season, 6 home runs, 49 RBIs, 34 runs scored, 286 average, and a 327 on base. But over the last 2 weeks here, he's been heating up, Meneses. After last season, in the second half, he came out of nowhere hitting over 320. But this year, it's been a little bit of a down year. So the last 2 weeks, 4 homers, 10 RBIs, 5 runs scored, a 306 average, and a 366 on base percentage. So Meneses getting the everyday chance, batting third or fourth usually in this lineup here for the Nats. And he's their RBI man, and he qualifies at first in outfield. July 8th versus the Rangers, 2 for 4, a homer, 2 ribs. July 9th versus the Rangers, 1 for 3, a homer, a rib. July 14th at the Cardinals, 0 for 1. July 15th at the Cardinals, 1 for 4, a rib. And July 16th at the Cardinals, and that one 0 for 4. So right now, he was heating up before the All-Star break, and maybe the All-Star break obviously hurt him. Was Meneses, where he was heating up and then sitting out pretty much for a week. So right now, he's out there still in only 45% of fantasy leagues, but he could bring power to fantasy owners. It's going to drive in some runs. I know the batting average isn't great, but versatility is solid as well, qualifying at first. And obviously the outfield, the next hitter is Zach Gewolf of the Oakland Athletics, are one of the top prospects in this system here, Z-Wolf. And he just came up and got called up, and he's going to steal some bases. He'll score some runs, but he's not going to show power in RBIs. But if you're looking for stolen bases, he could bring that. And that's pretty valuable at a weak second base position in fantasy baseball. And so the season here, so far in the early going, 4 for 12 from the plate, 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in the time. So Gewolf, he obviously was a hitter that it was enough is enough over there for this Oakland A team. They got to see what they got with the younger guys. They had some decent prospects in the minors. He's one of them. And obviously I'm going to talk about his teammate Zolberstam in the next hitter we're going to be talking about. But anyway, if you're looking for stolen bases, decent batting average, and a guy who's going to get an everyday opportunity with the A's being the worst team in the major leagues, Gewolf could be that, but he's more of a deeper league ad. Stolen bases is a specialty, but everything else, he's pretty much been mediocre or a little bit above average at that RBIs and obviously batting average. So right now, if you're looking for stolen bases and just a second baseman, if you had trouble all season filling out that hole, I'll give Gewolf an ad this week, and right now available 93% of fantasy leagues. It is his teammate Tyler Soderstrom of the Oakland Athletics. So Soderstrom, obviously one of the top prospects in the system here. Catcher and first base, he qualifies, and so far in the early going for him, 3 for 10 from the plate. So right now he did pretty much everything he had to do, 21-year-old, and he had a 254 average with 20 home runs for the AAA team over there in Vegas for the Oakland Athletics. So right now, he's getting the everyday chance, either going to be catcher, first base, or designated hitter. And right now, he's available in tons of fantasy leagues at 72%. So if you're looking for power, especially at the catcher position, and if Salvador Perez now might miss time with leaving the game with a hamstring injury, I think Soderstrom is definitely a good guy to fit in right now, filling that spot. So the first few games for him, July 14th versus the Twins, 0 for 3. July 15th versus the Twins, 2 for 4. And July 16th versus the Twins, 1 for 3. So far, first 3 ball games, the positive I could take, he's 3 for 10. And he's only struck out 1 time in the first 10 at-bats. So he's going to get an everyday chance. Catcher, one of the weak positions, if not the weakest position in fantasy baseball. And his main thing is power. As long as he can hit for some pop, like he did in the minor leagues, I think he's going to be fine at a catcher position where there's not many great players anymore in fantasy baseball. So right now, I definitely give Soderstrom an ad this week, especially if you're a Salvador Perez owner and he could miss time with the injury. The next hit is Lars Nootbaar of the St. Louis Cardinals. And Nootbaar, he's been in and out of the lineup this season. And so far in the year, 6 home runs, 27 ribs, 39 runs, 5 stolen bases, a 261 average with a nice on-base percentage at 356 on the season. And over the last couple weeks, he's starting to get everyday opportunities once again and playing good baseball. 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 8 runs scored, a 275 average, and a 340 on base. So right now, Nootbaar is playing well for this Cardinal team and batting first or third usually in the lineup. July 8th at the White Sox, 1 for 4. July 9th at the White Sox, 1 for 5, a run. July 14th versus the Nats, 1 for 1 with that one with a homer. July 15th versus the Nats, 2 for 5. And July 16th versus the Nats, 1 for 3 with a run and a rib. So right now, he's getting opportunities, batting third, obviously, in this lineup for the Cardinals, especially with a lot of talented hitters like Arenado, Goldschmidt, Jordan Walker, even Paul DeJong. He's had his moments. Norman Gorman showing power, but just for whatever reason this season, this Cardinal team just going to get on track. So right now, Nootbaar is getting an everyday opportunity and I think he can help fantasy owners. Right now, available still at 53% of fantasy leagues. Next hit is Henry Davis of the Pittsburgh Pirates. A lot of people giving up on Davis quickly in the early going here. Obviously, one of their top hitting prospects, and he's going to get an everyday chance. Qualifying a catcher in outfield, and it's a big thing as well if he's going to play pretty much 7 days a week with the catcher eligibility. If he's going to play outfield on most nights on the season here so far, in a small sample size, about a month for Davis. 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 13 runs scored, 3 stolen bases, a 270 average, and a 360 on base. A lot of people, like I said, they didn't like what they were seeing, but Davis, he's been hitting the ball hard, and now 3 games in a row since the break has resumed. He's had 3 multiple hit ball games, so he's getting it going, and he's made the adjustment so far, it's looked like, in the small sample size. July 8th at Arizona 0 for 3, July 9th at Arizona 0 for 2, July 14th versus the Giants 2 for 3 a run, July 15th versus the Giants 2 for 4 a homer and a rib, and July 16th versus the Giants 2 for 4 a run, a rib, a stolen base. So right now, if he's out there in your fantasy leagues, another guy, if you're a Salvador Perez owner, can fit in very good as well is Davis, and he can do a little bit of everything. He can steal bases, can show some power, he draws some walks, can get on base, and right now he should be owned in more fantasy leagues out there, in 54% of fantasy leagues, and like I said, dropped going into the week in 7% of fantasy leagues. Next hit is Mickey Moniak of the Los Angeles Angels. So Moniak, he's been solid so far this season, and now with Mike Trout out with a broken bone in his hand, he's going to be playing a lot of baseball and just about every day now for this Los Angeles Angel team. On the season, 10 home runs, 29 RBIs, 22 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, a 329 average, and a 356 on base. And over the last month of the season, it's been good for Moniak. 4 home runs, 15 RBIs, 11 runs scored, a 338 average, and a 366 on base. So right now he's going out there, he's hitting the baseball well. And ever since the All-Star break ended and plays resumed, he's playing good baseball. July 5th at the Padres, 1 for 4 run. July 7th at the Dodgers, 2 for 4 home and 3 RBIs. July 8th at the Dodgers, 1 for 4 run. July 14th versus Houston, 3 for 5 a rib. July 15th versus Houston, 3 for 5 with a run. So right now, playing good baseball, he's getting hits, he's showing power, and the power's definitely been impressive this season with 10 home runs in only 143 at-bats. So right now, while he's still out there in 70% of fantasy leagues, surprisingly, here is Moniak. He's definitely one of the better pickups this week, and the final hitter I looked at this week's his teammate Taylor Ward of the Los Angeles Angels. So Ward, we know last season had a nice breakout year with 23 homers, 65 RBIs, and a 281 average, but this season it's definitely been a down year a little bit. Or the numbers, 10 homers, 32 RBIs, 3 bags, 52 runs scored, a 251 average, and a 325 on base. But over the last couple weeks, he's starting to get going, is Ward, with a home run, 2 RBIs, 6 runs scored, a 346 average, and a 414 on base. So right now available in 48% of fantasy leagues. Here's Taylor Ward. We know he's got some pop, and he's playing every day as well and batting 3rd or 4th usually for this Los Angeles Angel team with good hitters in the lineup still, like an Ohtani, like a Moniak, like I mentioned. Hunter Renfroe, he's been pretty decent this season as well. Zach Neto, he's starting to get it going a little bit. But anyway, right now, Taylor Ward, he's hitting the baseball, showing power, and he's a hitter I would add this week. July 7th at the Dodgers, 1 for 4 run. July 14th versus Houston, 2 for 5 a homer and RBI, 2 runs scored. And July 15th versus Houston, 3 for 5 with 2 runs. So right now, Ward's hitting the baseball well since after the All-Star break here. And like I said, he's playing every day pretty much for this Los Angeles Angel team, even though I know they got a decent amount of hitting on the roster. But right now, if you're looking for some power and RBIs, Ward could bring that to Only. So that's a few hitters I look to add here in Week 15 of the fantasy baseball season.